Imagine reaching into a coffee tin of old change, or shaking loose a handful of coins from the bottom of a desk drawer, and spotting a plain brown cent with the year 1979 and a tiny D beneath the date. It looks ordinary. Just another Lincoln Memorial cent that passed through millions of hands. But as any serious collector knows, even the most ordinary coin at first glance can hold small details that separate common pocket change from a collectible worth keeping. Today we're going to take a careful, factual look at the 1979 Denver minted Lincoln cent, what makes it tick historically, where genuine collector value comes into play, and how you can sell one if you've got a piece that stands above the rest. Stay with me, because while most 1979 D cents are extremely common, there are a few surprising factors that set the best apart from the pack. And if you're not looking closely, you might miss them. The year 1979 was business as usual for the U.S. Mint when it came to 1-cent pieces. Abraham Lincoln's portrait by Victor David Brenner, introduced in 1909, had already been on the obverse for 70 years. The reverse still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo first struck in 1959. At the Denver Mint, production was immense. Over 4.1 billion cents came off the presses. With numbers like that, it's easy to assume that every example is virtually worthless. And in everyday worn condition, that's mostly true. A circulated 1979 D cent will usually trade for its face value, maybe a few cents to roll searchers looking to fill an album. But the real story begins when we look at condition, strike quality, and rare varieties. Here's a quick market reality check. In average circulated grade, your 1979 D cent is not rare, and it is not going to pay off your mortgage. Collectors can buy them by the roll. Even in nice, extremely fine condition, these coins typically change hands for less than $1. But when you get into higher mint state grades, uncirculated examples certified by PCGS or NGC, the game changes. That's because the sheer mintage numbers don't matter as much as scarcity and pristine condition. So let's pause and ask, what separates a 1-cent coin worth pennies from one worth serious collector money? The answer is condition and detail. Denver coins often suffer from weaker strikes compared to Philadelphia pieces of the same era. Full red luster, clean surfaces without bag marks, and strong details are what grading services look for. A top-end 1979 D cent graded MS66 red by PCGS can fetch in the $50 to $100 range. At MS67 red, we're talking several $100s at auction, though only a small handful of coins have reached that level. That's the cliffhanger for collectors. Could your uncirculated penny be one of those few? Now, errors and varieties deserve attention too. There are no widely recognized big money, double die obverses for the 1979 D. But minor die clashes and repunched mint marks have been noted by specialists. These aren't million-dollar discoveries, but they can add a premium. A repunched D, visible under magnification, might raise collector interest and push a coin's value above the typical range. Likewise, off-center strikes or broad strikes from this year exist in small numbers, and those error coins are far scarcer than standard issues. Depending on severity and eye appeal, an off-center 1979 D cent could bring $25, $50 or more to error collectors. Not life-changing money, but a real difference from face value. Here's a question worth asking yourself. When was the last time you actually looked closely at the mint mark on a cent? It's small, easily overlooked, yet sometimes it's the key. That's one of the reasons this channel stresses careful, informed inspection. Without hype, without false promises. Certification is a practical path if you believe you have a gem. Submitting to PCGS or NGC ensures authenticity and provides a grade that buyers trust. For coins that might only be worth $1 or $2, certification isn't economical. But if your piece is an exceptional, blazing red cent with virtually no contact marks, A grading fee could be worthwhile because the price jump between raw and slabbed examples is dramatic at the upper end. Let's weave in a collector story here. In a heritage auction sale, a superb 1979D Lincoln Cent, graded MS67 red, realized a price in the several $100 range. That sale wasn't front-page news, but it illustrates the reality. Common coins can command strong prices at the top of the grading scale because so few survive with flawless surfaces. The difference between MSR65 and MS67 might not look huge to an untrained eye, but in the collector market, that 2-point jump can be the difference between $20 and $500. So how do you realistically sell a 1979D Cent if you've got one you think is special? Let's break down the main options. Auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Great Collections are excellent venues for certified high-grade coins. The exposure to serious bidders is unmatched, but sellers should account for commission fees that can eat into the final payout. If you want immediate liquidity, a trusted coin dealer is the fastest path. They'll make an offer on the spot, but naturally, it will be lower than full retail since they need room for resale. Online platforms like eBay or dedicated coin forums give you wide reach and the chance for stronger realized prices, but you're responsible for accurate photos, honest descriptions, and navigating buyer risk. Consignment arrangements, where a dealer sells on your behalf and takes a percentage, can balance convenience and fair returns. Just be sure you're dealing with a reputable, established name. That's why certification helps so much. A PCGS or NGC holder takes away most of the buyer's doubts and lets the market compete for the coin on its merits. Now, let's stop for a quick reset. You've probably seen breathless claims online that your 1979 penny could be worth $50,000. Those headlines are designed to grab clicks, not to help collectors. The truth is, no 1979D Cent has ever sold for tens of thousands. The highest graded examples trade in the hundreds, not the millions. When you hear otherwise, it's usually confusion with an unrelated variety or pure misinformation. This channel exists to keep that noise out of the conversation and help serious collectors focus on verifiable facts. Back to identification. If you're checking your own change jar, focus first on overall condition. Is the coin bright red, or has it toned brown from circulation? Red coins bring premiums. Brown coins typically don't. Then examine the strike. Are Lincoln's hair details sharp or mushy? Weak strikes are common from Denver that year, so sharpness can distinguish a better piece. If you suspect a variety or error, use a magnifier to check the mint mark and edges. And remember, always cross-check against trusted references like the cherry pickers. Guide or auction archives, rather than assuming a blurry doubling makes a jackpot. Another rhetorical pause here. What's the real reward in a 1979D Cent? For most, it's not the dollar figure. It's the discipline of sharpening your eye, of finding quality in a sea of ordinary coins. That's why roll searchers and new collectors cut their teeth on Lincoln Cents. So, to summarize the value ranges you can realistically expect. In heavily circulated condition, your 1979D is generally worth 1 cent, perhaps a nickel if sold in bulk. In extremely fine condition, value might creep to 10 or 20 cents for someone filling a folder. In uncirculated mint state 63 or 64 red, values typically run from $1 to $5. At MS65 red, think in the $10 to $20 ballpark. At MS66 red, prices can jump to $50 to $100. And in the rare MS67 red category, you're in the several $100 range, provided the coin has been certified. Error examples and repunched mint marks can bring premiums, with off-center errors adding anywhere from $25 up to a few hundred, depending on the severity. Let's close by talking preparation. If you have a coin you believe could be special, store it carefully in a non-PVC flip or capsule. Avoid cleaning, it will destroy value. If you decide to submit for grading, Research which service best suits your goals. PCGS and NGC are the industry leaders in Lincoln cents. If selling online, invest the time to take clear, well-lit photographs that show both sides of the coin. And always remember, provenance matters. If you can document where a coin came from, collectors often pay more. The takeaway for today is simple but powerful. The 1979 D. Lincoln cent is one of the most common coins of its time. Yet within those billions lie rare examples that reward patience and knowledge. Don't be swayed by hype, but don't dismiss every coin as worthless either. The skill is in knowing the difference. So if you've got a jar of late 70s cents, it may be worth one more careful look. Focus on condition, check for unusual errors, and remember that top-end certified examples are the ones that draw collector attention. When in doubt, consult a trusted dealer or grading service. And if this kind of honest, fact-based guidance helps you sort through your collection, consider subscribing to Coin Lords, where we cut through the noise and focus on the truth that matters to real collectors. Until next time, keep searching and keep collecting. If you've ever sorted through a jar of pennies, there's a good chance you've come across one from 1987 with a small D under the date. And here's the thought that pulls many collectors in. Could this ordinary-looking coin actually carry hidden value? The answer isn't as simple as yes or no. And that's where the story of the 1987 D. Lincoln cent becomes more interesting than most people expect. Let's start with the basics. The 1987 Lincoln cent belongs to the long-running Memorial Reverse series, first introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. On the obverse, we still see Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln, a design first struck in 1909. By 1987, the United States Mint had shifted fully away from the bronze alloy used in earlier decades and was striking these coins in copper-plated zinc. Each weighs 2.5 grams, with a composition of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, and a diameter of 19 millimeters. The D Mint mark tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint. Now here's a reality check collectors appreciate. 1987 was not a low mintage year. Over 4.5 billion 1987 D cents rolled off the Denver presses. That means, in ordinary circulated condition, what you'd find in pocket change, most of these coins are worth exactly face value. This is where many new collectors stop looking. But for the careful eye, there are several layers of detail that separate the common from the collectible. Stay with me here, because this is where the story turns. Even though billions were minted, not all coins survived in the same state. Most saw heavy use in circulation, leaving them with scratches, dull surfaces, and worn devices. But a smaller fraction remained in rolls, mint sets, or were tucked away before ever entering circulation. These are the coins that stand out today. In lightly circulated condition, say, very fine to extremely fine, a 1987 D might sell for a modest premium, usually just a few cents. But in uncirculated grades, the picture changes. Mint State 63 examples, bright and clean but with minor bag marks, typically bring around 25 to 50 cents from collectors filling date and mint sets. In higher mint state grades like MS65 or MS66, where the strike is strong and the surfaces are nearly flawless, certified examples may command several dollars. At the very top, in MS67 and above, which are quite scarce due to the softness of copper-plated zinc surfaces, prices can move into the $50 to $150 range or higher, particularly when graded and encapsulated by trusted services like PCGS or NGC. Here's the first cliffhanger. Why would anyone pay $100 for a coin with a face value of 1 cent? The answer lies in condition rarity. Even though billions were struck, only a small percentage survive with pristine surfaces, free from spotting, discoloration, or strike weakness. Collectors building high-grade registry sets will pay premiums to secure the absolute best, Now let's add another layer. Varieties and errors. The 1987D has no widely recognized key variety like a double diobverse, but errors do exist. Off-center strikes are the most visually dramatic. A coin struck 10 to 20% off-center with a clear date, and mint mark might fetch $20 to $50, while more extreme off-centers can bring significantly more depending on eye appeal. You may also encounter broad strikes, die cracks, or plating blisters. A common issue with this era of copper-plated zinc cents. Blistering or bubbling isn't considered a collectible error by most specialists, since it results from the inherent weakness of the plating process rather than a striking mistake. But major die breaks or clip planchets can earn real attention and premiums. If you think you found an error, the safest path is to have it evaluated by a knowledgeable dealer or to submit it to a grading service for authentication. Here's a good question to ask yourself. Would you recognize a subtle error at first glance, or would it slip past in a handful of change? This is why careful, patient study pays off in modern coinage. Let's pause on values again because too many online listings distort reality. You've likely seen claims that 1987D pennies are worth thousands. The truth is more measured. In ordinary condition, they are common and remain worth face value. In certified high grades, they can be worth dozens to $100. Exceptional errors or top population registry coins can stretch further. But those cases are the exception, not the rule. By grounding ourselves in real auction records and verified price guides, we avoid the kind of hype that can mislead new collectors. For example, PCGS has reported sales of 1987D cents in MS67 red at reputable auctions for several $100s, reflecting true rarity at that grade level. These are the coins that advanced collectors compete for. They are not coins you'll casually find in a coffee can of circulated change. So the natural next question is, if you believe you have one of these better examples, what's the best way to realize its value? This is where selling strategy matters as much as the coin itself. Option 1 is to work with a reputable coin dealer. Dealers provide immediate payment and expertise, but because they resell, their offers will be below retail. The benefit is convenience and certainty. Option 2 is a public auction house, specializing in coins, such as Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. These venues offer strong exposure to serious bidders, but they also charge seller's fees and may take longer to finalize a sale. Still, for a truly high-grade or rare error coin, the exposure is often worth it. Then there are online marketplaces like eBay. The reach is massive, and coins can bring fair market value if well photographed and described. But there are risks: buyer disputes, counterfeit concerns, and the need for seller reputation. If you choose this route, certification by PCGS or NGC provides credibility and protects you from many headaches. Finally, consignment with a dealer or auction platform offers a balance. Your coin is marketed to the right audience without you needing to manage the sale directly. Here's something many collectors overlook. Presentation matters. A raw, uncirculated 1987D cent tossed into a generic photo may not stand out, but the same coin in a PCGS holder labeled MS67 red with a clear photo will attract far more serious bids. Certification removes doubts about grade, authenticity, and originality. 3 factors that heavily influence price. Let's circle back to a subtle but important point. Zinc-based Lincoln cents from the 1980s are prone to environmental damage. Even coins that look brilliant at first may develop spots or streaks over time, if not properly stored. This instability is another reason top-grade survivors are rare. If you own raw examples that you think have potential, protect them in inert holders and avoid PVC plastics. Preservation today could make the difference in value tomorrow. Now consider this. With billions minted, why should collectors even care about a 1987D? The answer is perspective. Collecting is not always about intrinsic rarity. Sometimes it's about completing a set, learning to grade, or spotting the subtle differences between ordinary and extraordinary. For newer collectors, the 1987D teaches valuable lessons in strike quality, plating issues, and modern mint production. For advanced collectors, it offers the challenge of chasing that elusive top-grade registry coin. Stay tuned, because we're about to touch on the bigger takeaway here. The real value of coins like the 1987D penny isn't just in the dollar figure. It's in the discipline it builds, the ability to separate hype from fact, to recognize the condition rarity, and to know when to seek professional guidance. Those skills will serve you across your entire collecting journey. And with that perspective, let's recap the key points. Most 1987D Lincoln cents are worth only 1 cent in circulated condition. Uncirculated examples may bring a modest premium, while certified high-grade coins can fetch from several dollars into the low hundreds, with MS-67 reds being the standout. Errors such as off-center strikes or major die breaks are collectible, while minor plating issues are generally not. For authentication and maximizing value, PCGS and NGC certification is the industry standard. When selling, choose the platform that fits your coin's level. Dealers for speed, auction houses for exposure, online marketplaces for reach, and consignment for balance. Always remember, presentation, accuracy, and credibility drive results. One final thought for collectors and sellers alike. In this hobby, knowledge is the rarest currency of all. Ignore the hype, beware of inflated online claims, and focus on verifiable facts. If you think you might have a better grade 1987D penny, take the time to compare it against trusted grading references, consult a professional, and consider certification. So, next time you reach into your change jar and see a 1987 penny with that small D beneath the date, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this just another cent? Or is it a survivor in top condition, waiting for a place in a collector's cabinet? Check your coins carefully. Seek trusted opinions when in doubt. And remember, the best collections are built on patience and knowledge, not hype. For more verified guidance on U.S. coins, be sure to stay with us here at CoinLords. You empty an old change jar, glance at a handful of copper-colored cents, and one catches your eye. It's a 2001 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. Instantly, the collector's instinct stirs. Could this be a rare variety? Or is it just another modern penny worth a single cent? That moment of curiosity is where so many coin stories begin. And the 2001 no mint mark Lincoln cent is a coin that often raises questions among both new and experienced collectors. Stay with me, because while the answer isn't as flashy as some online claims would have you believe, there are important details here that every serious collector and potential seller should understand before they make a decision. The Lincoln cent, first struck in 1909 to mark the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, is the longest-running design in United States coinage history. By the year 2001, the coin had already been through decades of composition changes and subtle modifications. That year, the mint produced billions of Lincoln cents. Denver struck its share. San Francisco issued proof coins for collectors. And Philadelphia produced the bulk of circulation pieces. Here's the key. Philadelphia coins traditionally carry no mint mark. So when you see a 2001 Lincoln cent without a mint mark, in most cases you're simply looking at a Philadelphia issue. It's not an error. It's not a mysterious omission. It's how the mint made them. But before you tune out, let's hold on a moment. Because while the base coin itself is common, there are still factors, condition, strike quality, and error varieties that can turn a 2001 no mint mark cent into something worth more than face value. Think about it. Billions of these coins were made, yet how many survive today in pristine, untouched condition? Most ended up rattling through cash registers, soda machines, and pocket change, losing their luster quickly. The vast majority you'll encounter in circulation are worth 1 cent. But climb up the grading scale, and the story changes. A lightly circulated example might sell for 5 to 10 cents to a collector filling a date and mint album slot. Step into the extremely fine range and values can reach a quarter or slightly more. Uncirculated coins with full original red luster are where premiums appear. Typical uncirculated examples trade in the range of $1 to $5. For coins certified by PCGS or NGC at the very highest grades, MS67 or MS68 red, the value jumps into the hundreds, with occasional reported auction sales higher when demand is strong. These are the outliers, the absolute best survivors, often from original rolls or mint-sealed bags carefully preserved since 2001. Here's a question for you. When was the last time you looked closely at the bands on a Roosevelt dime? That same principle, examining fine details, applies to the Lincoln cent as well. Strike quality, clarity of detail in Lincoln's hair, and sharpness in the lettering all matter when assessing grade. Collectors will pay premiums for coins with bold strikes, bright original red surfaces, and no distracting spots or carbon marks. This is where third-party certification really matters. A raw coin in a 2x2 holder might look pristine, but only when graded by PCGS or NGC with a red designation and a top numeric grade will the market assign serious value. Certification provides buyers confidence and helps sellers realize a stronger price. Now let's pause for a moment. If most 2001 no mint mark cents are common, why do they attract so much attention? Part of it comes from the broader fascination with missing mint mark coins. Collectors remember the 1922 no D cent from Denver, which truly was a minting anomaly and commands high values today. They also recall certain proof sets where a mint mark was accidentally omitted. That historical context sometimes fuels modern misunderstandings. So let's be clear. In 2001, a Philadelphia Lincoln cent with no mint mark is not an error. It is standard. But there are genuine error types to watch for. Off-center strikes exist, where part of the design is missing because the blank wasn't seated correctly in the press. These can bring anywhere from $10 for a minor misalignment to over $100 for dramatic, well-centered examples showing clear date digits. Double-struck coins occasionally surface, with design elements appearing twice in different positions. Die cracks and cuds, raised lumps from broken dies, also exist and can command premiums depending on visibility and size. The rule of thumb, the more dramatic and eye-catching the error, the higher the value. Minor imperfections usually don't move the needle much, but bold errors certified by a grading service are sought after by specialists. Stay tuned, because in just a moment we'll talk about what to do if you think you have one of these error coins and how to navigate selling it safely. But first, one more point on varieties. While no major die varieties are widely recognized for the 2001 Philadelphia cent, specialists always check for repunched mint marks or doubled dies. In this case, since there's no mint mark, repunching isn't relevant. But subtle doubling, if ever confirmed in a variety catalog, would be something to watch. Always consult reliable sources like the cherry pickers. Guide or the listings maintained by variety specialists before assuming you found something significant. So let's imagine you've got a 2001 Lincoln cent that looks pristine, or perhaps it shows a striking error. How do you sell it? The path you choose depends on the coin's grade, rarity, and your personal goals. If it's a certified high-grade example, an auction house is often the best choice. Firms like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers attract serious bidders and can bring strong prices for top population modern cents. The upside is exposure to motivated collectors. The downside is seller's fees and the wait time for the next scheduled sale. If speed matters more than maximum price, a specialist coin dealer may be the way to go. Dealers can evaluate your coin quickly, make an offer, and pay immediately. The trade-off is that a dealer needs margin to resell, so you won't capture the top retail price. Still, for many sellers, the certainty and speed outweigh the difference. Online platforms like eBay reach a wide audience, but they require caution. You'll need excellent photos, an honest description, and a willingness to deal with buyer questions. Fees and the risk of returns or disputes should be factored in. Certified coins do much better here than raw coins because buyers have confidence in the grading and authenticity. If your coin is uncertified but looks exceptional, consider submitting it to PCGS or NGC before listing it online. The cost of grading can pay for itself many times over if the coin achieves a top grade. There's also the consignment route, where you place your coin with a dealer who lists it on your behalf, often on platforms like eBay or through their own customer list. You get wider exposure than selling yourself, but you'll pay a consignment fee. For a mid-range coin, say a certified MS-67 red cent worth a few $100s, this can be a practical middle ground. Now let me be direct. This is an area full of hype online. You've probably seen videos or posts claiming that ordinary 2001 pennies without mint marks are worth thousands. That simply isn't true. The reality is that nearly all are worth face value, with premiums reserved for mint state, certified, or error examples. Our goal on this channel is to give you the facts, not inflated promises. By sticking to verifiable auction results, trusted grading service records, and market experience, you'll avoid disappointment and steer clear of scams. Here's a quick mental reset. When was the last time you found a modern cent in circulation that was truly uncirculated? The truth is, coins from the 2000s can already be surprisingly scarce in high-end rolls. This is why collectors do pay attention to condition, even for dates that feel recent. Don't overlook that jar of change just because the coins are modern. You never know what condition survivors are hiding inside. To recap, a 2001 Lincoln cent with no mint mark is a Philadelphia issue, not an error. In circulated grades, it's worth face value, or slightly more to album collectors. In high uncirculated grades, particularly with a certified red designation at MS-67 or above, values climb into the hundreds. Dramatic mint errors can bring premiums, especially if authenticated. The best way to maximize value is through professional certification, quality photos, and a selling venue that matches your needs. Auction for exposure, dealers for speed, online for reach. As you sort through your coins, remember that patience and knowledge are the collector's greatest tools. Don't fall for exaggerated claims and don't dismiss modern dates as worthless. Each coin tells a story, and each has the potential to surprise when carefully examined. If you think you have something special, seek a professional opinion from a trusted dealer or grading service. That tiny coin in your hand could be a 2003 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. Most of us have handled hundreds of 2003 pennies without giving them a second glance. But this particular date raises a question worth slowing down for. Could a common cent from just 2 decades ago hide collectible interest? Let's walk through the details carefully, because the truth is more nuanced than online hype would have you believe. The 2003 Lincoln cent belongs to the long-running Memorial Reverse series that began in 1959. Honoring the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. These were copper-plated zinc cents, a composition that had been used since 1982. In 2003, the Philadelphia and Denver mints struck over 7 billion pennies combined. Philadelphia coins, as usual, carried no mint mark, while Denver's coins displayed the small D under the date. This is where some confusion starts. A penny with no mint mark from 2003 is not necessarily an error. It usually means it came from Philadelphia, which traditionally did not mark its cents. But what makes collectors pause is the small subset of coins that show anomalies. Stay with me here because the distinction matters. A 2003 cent without a mint mark is not rare in itself. What collectors are looking for are coins that were supposed to have a mark but do not, or examples that show striking errors, or unusual die varieties. So, what's the baseline? A typical 2003 Philadelphia cent in circulated condition is worth 1 cent. Even in nice uncirculated rolls, their value hovers only slightly above face, perhaps $1 or $2 for a roll if the coins are bright and spot-free. That's the ordinary reality. But as with all modern issues, the story changes at the highest levels of preservation. Coins that grade out as Mint State 67 or higher at a top grading service, such as PCGS or NGC, can bring premiums because they're difficult to find without blemishes. In recent years, certified 2003 cents in MS67 have sold in the range of $20 to $50, and examples in MS68 have crossed into the low hundreds when offered through reputable auctions. Those are the outliers, but they prove that condition alone can transform an everyday penny into a collector piece. Now here's the first cliffhanger. What about errors? Could your 2003 cent with no mint mark actually be something unusual? The most notable errors on coins of this era include off-center strikes, broad strikes where the rim never formed, double dies, and plating blisters that affect the copper layer. These mistakes, when dramatic and eye-catching, can fetch anywhere from $10 to several $100s, depending on severity. A Philadelphia cent without a mint mark is standard, but a Denver cent struck without its D could be a dramatic mint error, and those are exceedingly scarce. Think about it. If a Denver working die somehow missed its mint mark punch, or if a filled die obscured the D, you would end up with what looks like a Philadelphia coin but from the wrong mint. These missing mint mark errors are rare across the entire Lincoln series, and none are confirmed for 2003 on a regular basis. But collectors always keep their eyes open. That's why if you suspect you have one, a professional opinion is critical. PCGS and NGC specialize in authenticating varieties, and they provide the certification that removes doubt. Now pause for a quick perspective shift. Have you ever noticed how online marketplaces are full of 2003 pennies listed for thousands of dollars? Many sellers hype the no mint mark detail without acknowledging it's the standard Philadelphia issue. This is where caution is essential. Scams thrive on that misunderstanding. Our promise here is to strip away the hype and stick to verifiable facts. A Philadelphia no mint mark cent is normal. It only gains real collector interest through exceptional condition or confirmed error status. Let's circle back to condition for a moment, because that's the most accessible pathway for value in this coin. Imagine two coins side by side. One has been in circulation showing dull surfaces and scratches. It's worth a cent. The other has never left a mint-sealed bag, gleaming red with no contact marks. That second coin could qualify for a mint state grade. If it achieves MS67 red, it might bring $40 at auction. If it miraculously reaches MS68 red, perhaps a few hundred. But remember, these outcomes are scarce. The population reports from grading services show only a handful of coins reach that high level each year. Here comes another point worth staying tuned for. Varieties. The 2003 cents do not feature any major recognized double dies that drive collector frenzy, like we see in 1995 or 1969s. However, minor die cracks, cuds, or die chips are sometimes collected as oddities. Their value is modest, usually under $10, but some collectors build specialized sets of these die state pieces. If you enjoy the hunt, spotting them can be rewarding even if they never fund your retirement. Now let's talk selling, because owning a coin is only half the journey. Suppose you've examined your 2003 cent carefully, and you believe it's either a high-grade example or an error worth attention. How do you turn that into cash? There are several routes. The most straightforward is a local coin dealer. A dealer can offer immediate payment, but keep in mind they must resell at a profit. So their offer will be wholesale, not top dollar. Auction houses, particularly those that specialize in certified coins, offer wider exposure. Firms like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers regularly handle modern cents, especially when they're in high mint state or hold recognized errors. The advantage is broader bidding competition. The trade-off is that seller fees reduce your net. Still, if your coin is scarce, this may be the best route. Online platforms like eBay provide access to millions of potential buyers, but they come with risks, returns, scams, and the need for strong reputation. If you go this route, clear, well-lit photographs and accurate descriptions are non-negotiable. Never exaggerate. Overstating rarity or quoting fake book values will only backfire with savvy collectors. Another pathway is consignment with a reputable dealer or auction platform. Here you place the coin with a professional who lists it on your behalf. You benefit from their audience and expertise, though you'll pay a commission. This can be a solid middle ground for coins that are not world record setters, but are too nice to leave to chance. Let's inject a moment of reflection. What separates serious collectors from casual sellers? It's the ability to recognize that most coins, even interesting ones, have modest value. But the rare pieces shine only when properly authenticated. That's why certification is often the best investment before selling. A coin in a PCGS or NGC holder is trusted, liquid, and positioned for competitive bidding. A raw coin, even a genuine rarity, may be met with skepticism. So, where does that leave the 2003 Lincoln cent with no mint mark? In truth, it's usually just a Philadelphia penny worth 1 cent. In bright, uncirculated condition, perhaps a few dollars. At the highest grades, potentially $50 to $200 in the right setting. If you discover a dramatic error, the range opens wider, but only with proper confirmation. The dream of finding a life-changing penny and pocket change is mostly myth, but the satisfaction of correctly identifying and valuing what you hold is very real. Here's the final cliffhanger to consider. What if you have a jar of 2003 pennies sitting untouched for years? Could one of them, by sheer luck, be the flawless MS-68 example that a registry collector needs to complete a top-ranked set? It's not impossible. That's why collectors still look closely, one coin at a time. As we close, let me leave you with the professional takeaway. If you come across a 2003 cent with no mint mark, first remember that's the normal Philadelphia issue. Then check condition carefully. If it looks pristine, consider submission to PCGS or NGC for grading. If you notice an unusual error, definitely seek expert confirmation before selling. When it comes time to sell, choose the path that best fits your goals. Dealer for speed, auction for maximum exposure, or online if you're comfortable handling the risks. And above all, stay clear of online hype. Anyone promising guaranteed thousands for ordinary coins is not speaking honestly. The mission here is simple: to give collectors and sellers the facts they can trust. Keep searching, keep checking your coins, and when in doubt, lean on the professional community that has safeguarded this hobby for generations. Just a 2006 penny with a small D beneath the date. You've seen thousands of them before. But here's the real question. Could one of these everyday Denver minted cents be worth more than face value to a serious collector? That's the curiosity that keeps many coin enthusiasts searching through pocket change, and it's where today's story begins. The 2006 Lincoln cent with the Denver mint mark is part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Design Series, which had been in circulation since 1959. By 2006, this design was already well familiar to Americans. But just because a coin is common doesn't mean it has no collectible story. Over 4 billion Denver minted cents were struck that year, making it one of the most abundant issues of the decade. If you've got one, chances are it's a routine circulation strike that has lived in cash registers, pockets, and vending machines for nearly 2 decades. But within this vast sea of copper-plated zinc, there are a few examples and conditions that elevate certain coins above the rest, and that's where collectors should pay attention. Before we talk value, let's clarify what this coin really is. Like all cents produced after 1982, the 2006 D is composed primarily of zinc, with a thin copper plating, giving it that reddish hue. They weigh about 2.5 grams and measure 19 millimeters across. The D indicates the Denver Mint, one of 2 facilities producing Lincoln cents at the time. The obverse shows Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse still bore the Lincoln Memorial design, which would continue until it was replaced in 2009. Now here's a point worth pausing on. Most circulated 2006 D pennies are only worth their face value. In average worn condition, dealers will not pay a premium. But don't tune out yet, because this is where the details matter. Collectors don't chase billions of common examples. They hunt for the few coins that rise above the ordinary. So what factors actually make a 2006 D Lincoln cent desirable? Condition is the first and most obvious driver. A typical pocket-worn example is still just 1 cent. But an uncirculated piece, taken straight from a mint roll or bag and preserved for nearly 20 years, might bring 25 to 50 cents on the secondary market. If it has attractive red luster and no distracting marks, values move higher. Certified mint state examples graded by PCGS or NGC can trade in the $10 to $40 range for coins in MS66, with premiums jumping for MS67 and especially MS68, where populations are tiny. At that level, we're talking about coins that are almost perfect under magnification, with blazing red surfaces and crisp strikes. It's worth noting that not all coins can reach those lofty grades. Most rolls are littered with contact marks and small spots that limit their appeal. Here's a quick collector's riddle for you. What's rarer, a 2006 D penny in pocket change or a certified MS68 example? The surprising answer is the latter. Billions exist in circulation, but only a handful survive at the highest certified grades. And that imbalance between supply and demand is what fuels collector interest. Let's also touch on varieties and errors, because this is where some of the most interesting premiums hide. The 2006 D is known for several minor double die varieties, particularly on the obverse where you might see faint doubling on the date or Lincoln's eye. These are not dramatic 1955-style double dies, but for specialists they carry extra value. Clear double dies verified and listed in reference works can sell for $10 to $50, depending on strength and grade. There are also reported examples of misaligned dies, die breaks that create raised cuds and off-center strikes. Error collectors pay according to severity. A small die chip might add a few dollars, while a sharply off-center strike missing parts of the design could bring $20, $50, or more. The key rule is this: if you suspect you found something unusual, do not assume. Get a second opinion from a trusted dealer or submit it for attribution. Now, a patent interrupt for you. Have you ever noticed how modern cents sometimes look dull and spotted, even when they're technically uncirculated? That's not your imagination. The copper plating on zinc is thin, and it reacts differently to storage conditions than the old solid bronze coins. That's one reason superb red gems are so tough to find from modern years. They simply don't age gracefully in bags and rolls. So where does this leave us in terms of value ranges? Let's lay them out clearly. A circulated 2006 D penny, worth 1 cent. A nice red uncirculated piece out of a roll, maybe a quarter to 50 cents. A certified MS66 red, around $15 to $30. MS67 red, closer to $100. MS68 red, these are condition rarities, and auction results have placed them in the several $100 range when they appear, depending on demand at the time. Add in a confirmed double die or dramatic error, and premiums can easily multiply. But, and here's a collector's truth worth remembering, You cannot create rarity out of a common coin just by hoping. Most pieces will never cross into those higher tiers. This is where we need to address the online landscape. If you search for 2006 D penny value, you'll find all kinds of exaggerated claims, stories of thousands of dollars, or secret rare varieties. The reality is far more measured. Yes, there are certified gems and error coins that carry premiums. No, your average worn penny from a change jar is not going to pay off your mortgage. At CoinLords, we believe trust comes from honesty, and collectors should never be misled by hype. That brings us to the practical side. What should you do if you believe you have a special 2006 D penny? The first step is condition triage. If it looks circulated and spotted, spend it. If it's bright red and looks untouched, consider setting it aside. For anything unusual, strong doubling, major off-center strike, or remarkably pristine surfaces, seek professional grading. PCGS and NGC are the top-tier services recognized worldwide. They encapsulate coins in secure holders, certify authenticity, and assign a numeric grade. For modern coins, the benefit is credibility. When you go to sell, buyers trust the grade and are willing to pay more than they would for an uncertified raw coin. Now let's talk selling strategies, because this is where collectors and sellers often need guidance. If you have a certified high-grade example, one route is a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbowers. The advantage here is visibility. Serious bidders worldwide will see your coin. The trade-off is fees, often 10-20% of the final hammer price, and the wait for a scheduled sale. Another route is specialist dealers who buy directly. That gives you immediate cash, but usually at a wholesale level below retail. Online marketplaces like eBay provide broad exposure and allow you to set your price, but they require sharp photography, detailed descriptions, and caution against scams. For coins of modest value, the costs of grading and auction fees can outweigh the benefits, so weigh carefully. Consignment with a dealer can also balance exposure and expertise, though it still takes time. Let's insert another question here. Did you know that even modern cents can build sets that collectors actively assemble? Registries set participants compete for the finest graded examples of every date and mint mark, including modern issues like 2006 D. That registry competition is why a single MS-68 cent can attract multiple bidders, even though billions of the same date exist. One of the best tips for preparing a coin for sale is provenance. If you can document that your coin came from an original mint roll, or if it was part of a collection with other high-quality pieces, note that. Provenance adds confidence for buyers. Pair that with clear, high-resolution photos that show both obverse and reverse without heavy editing. And remember, patience often pays. Selling to the right audience matters more than rushing to the first offer. Before we close, let's touch on one more subtle point. For many collectors, coins like the 2006 D penny are not about immediate value, but about building complete date and mint sets. Filling every slot from 1959 through 2008 requires the 2006 D. And within that, specialists chase not just a 2006 D, but the finest they can find. That collector psychology is what keeps demand alive, even for seemingly ordinary modern coins. So let's recap. Most 2006 D pennies are face value only. Attractive uncirculated pieces carry a small premium. Certified top-grade examples can fetch serious bids, sometimes in the hundreds. Verified error varieties add interest and value. And the key to selling is understanding your coin's actual level of rarity, then choosing the right venue, whether that's an auction house, a dealer, or an online marketplace. Always be skeptical of hype. Always seek professional opinions when the stakes are high. And always remember that knowledge is your greatest asset. As you sort through your change, ask yourself, could one of these ordinary-looking cents actually be an above-average survivor? It may not make you rich, but it just might be the key to upgrading a collection, or to building trust as a seller who knows what they have. Keep searching, keep verifying, and above all, keep collecting.